Hello people, this is New Sensei. Today I'll be answering the question, how long are you meant to hold onto the shot? This question often pops up when observing people shoot, especially on YouTube, where some people have a very fast shot process or they might be snap shooting. So you may see someone doing this. Firstly, is snap shooting actually a bad thing? Most people will say yes, absolutely. But bear in mind that some people do snap shoot very well. For those who are training purely instinctive archery and have a lot of experience in shooting set distances, then you will probably recognize where your shot will land. So a snapshot is basically the most efficient method of getting your arrow on target. After all, if you know where your arrow is going to hit, why do you need to hold any longer than you have to? Of course, this is only several meters away. It's not a huge feat of accuracy. But if this was a practical situation, perhaps you are trying to shoot a charging ball or a zombie, then this to me is acceptable accuracy that I can deliver without necessarily having to take the time to do all the right steps as taught by coaches. Nonetheless, snap shooting generally implies a lot less time to consolidate your shot. And for most people, especially learners, you need to make sure your foundations are correct, and that's why you're often told not to snap shoot. When your instructor tells you to take your time, it's to encourage you to mentally and physically prepare yourself for the shot. So that way you don't panic when you reach full draw. So what you get instead is a smooth, flowing shot process, strong anchor, and a clear release. So if the instructor is telling you to take your time, you might ask, how much time should I take? And that's a really good question. It's also the wrong question to ask. It isn't really about timing. What you should instead think about is the feeling of a good shot, the quality of the shot, and the amount of control you have over your shot process. The fundamental question is, am I ready to execute my shot? This doesn't just mean aiming. This means physical alignment. This means mental preparation. If you rush through the process and hence snap shoot, then you're not ready. You're panicking because you're not on target, you're not thinking about what you're doing, nothing is right. By taking more time, you will find that things will flow better. But how much time do you take? That really depends on the individual. Most people will find that they would spend around 2 to 2.5 seconds at most at their full draw. So if you do a full shot process like this, the full draw, you'll find most people will naturally let go after around 2 to 3 seconds. Is this a hard and fast rule? No. But what this normally implies is that you've acquired the target, you've looked at it, you've gone to your anchor point, confirm, and then release. That's a fairly solid, smooth process. It's all about consolidating the shot. Now, I'm not counting, I'm not timing the hold. I'm not going 1, 2, 3, shot. What I'm doing is I'm going by feel. By aligning correctly with the target and using whatever aiming method that I'm using, in this case I'm gap shooting, then I will recognize that I've reached the point where I should release. And that's the timing. Now, if you actually time this, again, that might be about 1.5 to 2.5 seconds. And it varies with the shot. Now I'm shooting at a very close distance where I'm not really caring about where I'm aiming, but I can reasonably hit the same spot every time. And that's the whole point of this exercise. So I can go up, and that's all the timing I need. Now those 3 last shots were relatively fast compared to what you see others do, but the results are still just as good because I'm following what feels right. I don't have to hold for an additional 1 second or 2 seconds because I know my target and my distance. Then as soon as I feel ready, the shot goes. Now, why would someone hold for longer? The main reason is to make sure that their arrow will hit the mark. This will often apply when shooting at a different distance or unfamiliar setting where you're just not quite confident. Of course, when I'm shooting at 5 meters or 10 meters in the shed, I know what I'm supposed to do. But if I'm in the field, I'm shooting at an uneven surface, then I'm not going to be as confident. So I'm going to make sure and aim more consciously. The same applies to things like windy conditions. You might just wait for the wind to drop just a bit. So that's where you see even Olympic archers hold their shot for 5 seconds, even 10 seconds. That sort of thing is undesirable. You will find the cleanest, most accurate shots, even at Olympic level, are up, in, and through. If they hold for longer, you will often find them muttering to themselves or swearing under their breath because they know it's a bad shot, but they had to hold on because they had to make sure the wind was settled and the sight was on target. Because the timing of your shot mostly depends on how confident you are in executing the shot, you shouldn't force yourself to hold onto the shot for longer than you have to. I mentioned this because recently I watched a video from another YouTuber who went through a training exercise where to overcome a snap shooting habit, they will hold on for at least 5 seconds. So the exercise was as follows. They will pull the full anchor and count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I've never seen someone train in this way. I don't think any coach or instructor would recommend this sort of training because it doesn't breed any particularly good habits. Holding too long onto the shot is in fact a bad habit in itself. So if your problem is with snap shooting, then forcing yourself into an unnaturally long hold creates a new problem. If you feel that your shooting is too quick, and again, this is a fairly common thing for new shooters, then practice good rhythm, not excessive time. Remember, it's about flow. Could I take a bit more time? Sure. But as long as it doesn't feel way too long and I'm not forcing myself to shoot quickly or slowly, then the shot quality should be the same. If you shoot Olympic style recurve, your timing is actually mostly controlled by the clicker. So the clicker is your draw length indicator and you can't shoot until you reach that point, hence why it clicks. Now, the amount of time it takes to get through the clicker will vary very heavily between different archers. And even the same archer will go through it differently at different shots. So at some point, especially as a learner, you won't come to the same anchor point. You might have to work through an extra half an inch. For experienced shooters, they've got this down to a T. It's exact and precise in every shot, so it's a predictable rhythm. But again, sometimes they may struggle to get to the clicker. So again, if you look at the Olympic style shooters, they're not thinking about timing. All they're thinking about is expansion and getting through the clicker. And a good shot cycle, again, will be around 2 to 2.5 seconds at full draw, expand and finish the shot. This, of course, varies very heavily. Some professional champions will execute fairly quick shots at about 1.5 seconds. Others will make a habit of holding for a bit longer, maybe 3 to 4 seconds. But this really depends on the individual. Again, the fundamental of control and flow are key. If I just yank it back and snap my shoulders and do the shot, I have no control. If I take too long at full draw, I'm starting to cramp, my shot will collapse, and again, I lose control. So don't think about it as a timing thing. Think about it as a feeling. Of course, if you're using a compound, then you can pretty much hold this forever. The let-off on a compound means that you're only holding a very small fraction of the actual draw weight, which allows you to align the bow for the perfect shot. And that's why compounds naturally have an accuracy advantage over a recurve. In summary, there isn't really an ideal hold time. The hold step is important, but it isn't something you should count. You should instead go by the feeling of control and confidence you have in your shot. Many people will spin around 1 to 2 seconds at full draw, but they may have to hold for longer depending on the circumstances. The more important thing to keep in mind is the rhythm and flow of your shot. Good shooters will establish a consistent shot rhythm which they will try to replicate as close as possible. That is far more important than counting how many seconds you have at full draw. Anyway, this is New Sensei. Hope this was helpful. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.